In the heart of the vast African savanna, under a sky brushed with gold and crimson, there was a small village named Mabaya, where stories were told by the fire and secrets lived within the wind. One fateful night, when the moon hung low like a watchful eye, a baby girl was born to a woman named Aluna. But unlike other newborns, the child did not cry, nor did she smile. Her chest rose and fell without sound, and her eyes were as still as the surface of a lake before dawn. The midwives whispered that something sacred or cursed had touched the child. They called her Niera, which meant the silent one, for she neither laughed nor wept. As she grew, Niera would walk through the village without leaving footprints in the dust, and the dogs would not bark when she passed. She did not hunger for food or thirst for water, and though her mother loved her deeply, Aluna often felt as if she were holding a shadow rather than a daughter. The villagers feared her, claiming she was born between worlds, neither living nor dead. Yet Niera herself felt nothing, no pain, no joy, no love. She watched others play, marry, and dance, but within her there was only stillness, a hollow echo that answered every heartbeat she could not feel. One evening, the village elder, Baba Sefu, came to Aluna's hut and said, "The ancestors have spoken in my dreams. Your child was not meant to be bound to this world. She is a spirit seeking her lost soul." Those words struck Aluna like thunder. She begged him for a way to save her daughter, but the old man shook his head solemnly. To live, she must journey beyond the great river and seek the tree of breath. Only there can she find the peace that makes her whole. And so, under the dim glow of a dying fire, Aluna wrapped Niera in a woven shawl and whispered, "Go, my child, and find your life." Niera looked into her mother's eyes, cold, unfeeling, yet somehow knowing, and set off toward the horizon, where the land met the unknown. Niera walked for many days beneath the blazing African sun, her bare feet touching the earth but leaving no mark, her eyes fixed on the distant shimmer of the great river. The land around her was alive with whispers, the rustle of grass-like voices from another world, the sigh of wind through the acacia trees that seemed to call her name. At night, she slept beside termite mounds that glowed faintly with fireflies, and though the cold bit her skin, she felt nothing. Villagers from nearby settlements watched her pass, some making signs of protection, others offering food she never took. Word spread of the strange girl who neither ate nor spoke, who walked as if guided by unseen hands. One evening, she reached the great river, its surface wide and black, like a mirror of the night sky. When she stepped closer, she saw faces rippling beneath the watermen, women and children, their eyes hollow and voices echoing faintly. Find what was lost. Niera kneeled by the shore, unsure if she was dreaming, until a figure rose from the mist. It was a woman with skin as silver as moonlight, her eyes glowing softly. "I am Nandira, keeper of the river of forgotten souls," the spirit said, her voice like flowing water. "You walk between life and death, child. Why have you come?" Niera tried to speak, but found no words. Her voice was as still as her heart. So Nandira placed a hand upon her chest and felt the emptiness there. "Ah," she whispered, "you are hollow because your soul never entered you. When the gods wove your fate, a jealous spirit stole your life's breath." Niera's eyes widened. Though she could not feel fear, she knew she must recover what was stolen. Nandira pointed across the dark river. Beyond lies the forest of whispers. There you will find the first Kitha memory drum. Only by playing its rhythm can you awaken what sleeps within you. With a motion of her hand, the waters parted, revealing a narrow path made of glowing stones. Niera stepped onto it, her reflection rippling with each step, the souls below reaching out as if begging her to remember them. Halfway across, she stumbled, and for a moment she saw flashes of another life, a baby crying, a mother singing, laughter echoing through a sunlit home. But then it vanished, swallowed by silence. When she reached the other side, the river closed behind her with a hiss, and the forest loomed ahead, dark, alive, and waiting. For the first time, Niera felt something stir deep inside her, not warmth, not life, but the faint whisper of what could become a heartbeat. Niera stepped into the forest of whispers, where even the trees seemed alive, their twisted trunks leaning toward her as if to listen. The air was thick with fog and memories, heavy enough to make the world blur at the edges. Each leaf that fell carried a voice, soft and mournful, repeating fragments of forgotten lives. "Do you remember me?" they seemed to say. Niera walked deeper, guided by a faint drumbeat, echoing somewhere far away, a heartbeat. The ground was carpeted with fallen petals that glowed faintly under her feet, lighting her path through the endless night. As she journeyed, she saw shapes between the tree shadows of women pounding grain, men laughing by fires, children dancing. But when she tried to reach them, they vanished like smoke. Then came a whisper, not from the trees, but from within her head. "You have no life because you do not remember who you are." She turned sharply, and before her stood an old woman dressed in robes woven from vines and moonlight. Her eyes were deep pools of knowing. "Who are you?" Niera tried to say, but her voice broke like wind through reeds. "I am Mama Nyoka, guardian of the memory drum," the woman said. "If you seek your life, you must find your rhythm." Niera followed her through a tunnel of roots to a clearing where an ancient drum sat upon a stone pedestal. Its surface was made of animal hide, painted with symbols of suns, rivers, and unborn stars. "Strike it," Mama Nyoka commanded. Niera raised her hands, hesitated, then brought her palms down upon the drum. A deep, resonant sound rolled through the forest, shaking the ground. With each beat, images burst behind her eyes: a cradle, laughter, a young girl running through fields, her mother's voice singing lullabies of love and protection. Her lips trembled, and for the first time in her life, Niera felt warmth flood her chest. It was faint but real. The drum began to glow, and Mama Nyoka smiled sadly. "Good. You have awakened your first breath. But the road ahead is long. The one who stole your life watches you still." As she spoke, a dark wind swept through the clearing, snuffing out the light. From the shadows, a pair of burning eyes appeared, red and filled with hatred. Niera froze, unable to move, as the darkness whispered, "You will never be whole." Then, just as the forest seemed to collapse into chaos, Mama Nyoka struck the drum once more, and everything went silent. When Niera opened her eyes, she was alone, the old woman gone, the drum cracked and cold. But within her chest, a heartbeat now pulsed faintly, a fragile promise that life could return. As dawn broke beyond the forest, Niera emerged from the mist with a faint glow in her chest, her first heartbeat echoing softly like a distant drum. But the warmth inside her did not bring peace, it brought pain. She felt the ache of hunger, the chill of morning air, the sting of loneliness. For the first time, she truly felt alive, and it frightened her. The forest behind her whispered her name as she stepped into the dry plains beyond, where thorn trees stretched like skeletons against the pale sky. There, waiting for her, was a tall figure cloaked in black feathers, his eyes the color of dying embers. "You have come far, child without life," he said, his voice deep as thunder over a distant mountain. "But the soul you seek is not yours to claim. It belongs to me." Naira felt the air grow heavy. "Who are you?" she managed to whisper, though her voice shook. The figure spread his wings, revealing scars that shimmered with smoke and fire. "I am Zuberi, the spirit of shadows. When you were born, I was denied my place among the gods. I took what the world owed mere soul." His words twisted around her like smoke. "Return it," Naira demanded, her voice stronger now, though fear coiled in her stomach. Zuberi laughed, a sound like breaking stone. "You have no power here, little hollow shell. But if you wish to challenge fate, you must pass through the Valley of Echoes, where even the gods lose their voices." He pointed toward a barren land beyond the horizon. "There, your truth waits." Naira clenched her fists, the faint heartbeat in her chest growing louder. "Then I will go," she said, her voice trembling yet filled with strange resolve. Zuberi tilted his head, studying her. "Be warned," he said softly. "The closer you come to reclaiming your soul, the more the world will demand its price." Then he vanished into a storm of black feathers, leaving behind the scent of ash. Naira continued onward, her steps heavier now that life had begun to weigh upon her. Along the way, she passed through ruins of an ancient kingdom, broken statues, toppled walls, and carvings of forgotten gods. At the center of it all stood a cracked mirror, half buried in dust. When she looked into it, she saw not her reflection, but hundreds of faces, each one a version of herself that had lived and died in other lifetimes. They whispered to her, "You were never empty, only divided." Tears formed in her eyes, and for the first time they fell, warm, real, alive. The pain was unbearable, yet it was proof she existed. As she walked away, lightning tore across the horizon, revealing the Valley of Echoes waiting like a wound in the earth. She took a deep breath, her heart beating faster, and whispered, "If my soul lies there, I will find it, even if it costs me the life I just began to feel." And with that, Naira vanished into the storm, her silhouette swallowed by the thunder and the wind. The Valley of Echoes stretched before Naira like a scar carved into the earth, its walls towering high and painted with symbols of forgotten gods. The air trembled with whispers of the dead, voices that belonged to every soul that had ever been lost. Each step she took sent her heartbeat echoing across the valley, as if the earth itself was listening. The ground was littered with bones of ancient warriors and broken masks, and above her, dark clouds twisted into shapes of spirits crying her name. Naira felt the pull of something deep within, a thread that tied her to the heart of the valley. When she reached its center, she saw a pool of water that shimmered like liquid glass. In its reflection, she did not see herself. She saw her mother, Aluna, sitting by the fire, staring into emptiness, whispering her name every night. That image pierced through Naira's chest. She fell to her knees, tears burning her cheeks, and cried for the first time a sound that echoed through the valley like thunder. Suddenly, the water began to stir, and from its depths rose the dark figure of Zuberi, the spirit of shadows. "You have come to claim what is mine," he said, his wings unfurling like a storm. "But do you even know what you are asking for? Life is pain, loss, hunger, fear. You are blessed without it." Naira stood, trembling but unbroken. "To feel is to be," she said. "Without sorrow, there can be no joy. Without life, there is only emptiness." Her words made the valley tremble, and Zuberi snarled, "Then prove your worth." With a wave of his hand, the valley erupted into chaos. Winds roared, shadows clawed at her skin, and echoes screamed her name until it became unbearable. But Naira pressed her hands to her chest and struck it like the memory drum. "I am Naira, daughter of Aluna," she cried, "and I will live." A radiant light burst from within her, blinding the darkness. The sound of her heart became thunder, and her body glowed with golden energy that scattered the spirits like dust. Zuberi screamed, his form unraveling into smoke. "You cannot take back what has been given," he roared. "I am the shadow in every life." "Then I will live with you," Naira whispered, "for even shadows belong to the light." With those words, she stepped forward and embraced the darkness. For a moment, the valley disappeared in a burst of light so bright it reached the heavens. When the dust settled, Naira stood alone, breathing, truly breathing for the first time. The valley was silent, peaceful, and full of light. She looked at her hands, at the pulse running through her veins, and smiled a soft, human smile. Then she turned toward the horizon and began walking home. When she returned to Mabaya, the villagers fell silent. Aluna saw her and wept with joy, running to embrace her daughter. "You're warm," she whispered through tears. "You're alive." Naira smiled and said softly, "Yes, Mama, I found my life." From that day forward, she became a healer, known across the lands as Naira, the living, the girl who once had no life, but now carried the light of 100 souls. Her laughter filled the village, her footsteps left marks in the dust, and every night she told children the story of how even emptiness can bloom into life.